everyone. This is the live SC Collins show. Today, we're going to be on a stage in the politics Discord servers. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, we can get a lot of interaction today, talk to some people. The topic for today is how old is the universe? So, if you have a particular belief about that, you want to be SC'd. SC, by the way, is just a way of talking about beliefs, examining beliefs, potentially asking critical questions, but in a cordial manner. So that's really the purpose behind it. So we don't have to talk about the age of the universe. We can talk about another claim if you have it and you would like to make it. Or if you have any questions about SE itself, those are some potential things that we could talk about. You can go to the Discord server in politics and raise your hand, which we'll share a link to uh, on the YouTube page here in a second so that you can access it. So if you do have any beliefs regarding the age of the universe or just anything else that you want to talk about, questions about SE, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll have mods message you and
For
try to get
those
you
who
up on
don't
stage.
know what SE stands for, it stands for street epistemology. And street epistemology is a conversation method to help people critically reflect on the quality of their reasonings through civil conversation. So it's an alternative form of talking to people about their beliefs without debating, where we gently probe the person that we're talking to about the quality of the reasonings that they led them to that belief. So if anybody has a belief around the age of the universe, whether you think it's 13.9 billion years old, or if you think it's 2,000 years old, the universe was created, or a Big Bang, or anything of that nature, feel free to raise a hand that we can bring you up onto stage and you can tell us more about what you believe.
I'm going to go ahead and share the stage now to the. So this is what the stage looks like. Go ahead. It's probably funny looking. Is it funny looking?
Yeah, I Penny Pal should be messaging them, hopefully.
Yeah, or maybe Dax or Saparati.
Yeah, Yvonne, if you want to message any of us directly with your claim, we just want to verify your claim before we bring you up on stage.
I gotta turn my volume up.
But yeah, I mean,
that's not. Oh, nope, there they are. They're still here.
But yeah, I mean, I think personally that the age of the universe is definitely in the millions of years old. I don't know if that's exactly how old it is, but it's definitely more than 2,000 years old for sure.
I think it started yesterday.
Oh, it just started yesterday. Interesting.
Yep.
And how do you know that?
Because my mommy told me.
Oh, geez. Interesting.
Other hands?
No other hands yet. Yeah, so
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, any topic, we just wanted to do the stream with a topic, but it doesn't matter what it is. It can be about politics, religion, anything that you believe or think to be true. It could be about gun control or transgender issues. It could be about, God or karma.
Oh, that's
Wow, you,
yeah,
there
I
you
messed
go.
that up. I see the problem now. Sorry, go ahead, Leslie.
Bear with us all. This is our first stream with Discord, so we're still figuring out the hiccups.
No, we were
Sorry?
just waiting for a message from them so that we knew what the claim was. Oh, they're still here.
Do you
Is that
wanna
a
bring them up?
Yeah, go ahead. Bring
Yeah,
him
let's
up.
bring 'em up. Um, alright, Yvonne, you still oh, I guess they declined. I guess they changed their mind.
Okay.
I did, and I don't know if they denied it. Oh, they can't yeah, you guys can't hear, Leslie because they are in the Discord. If you guys would like to anybody can go into the Discord stage, and then they can, talk and interact with everybody that is in the stage. It's just the stream is not, sharing the wait, is not sharing the audio of that could be a problem. We
Uh,
should be able to hear
that's something
Leslie.
I can fix. That's something I can fix. Just a moment. Hold on.
Oh, I just got a message from somebody that invites are kind of broken on mobile, so that could be the issue why Yvonne is not able to get up. Yeah, they can only hear us too. Um, yes.
And I'm gonna stop screen sharing just for a second so I can figure out how to do this.
Yeah, we okay. Yeah, we're just waiting on we've gotta wait for Quaid to figure out the audio.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to stream to the Discord server because that's gonna cause problems. If you think of a way for me to do that, then I'll do it that way. Oh,
Mm,
okay. Well, I just stopped screen sharing, so hopefully that fixed it.
Thoughts Upon a Time, are you able to, hear, the people in, the Discord?
No?
No, I can't, okay.
Okay,
Well,
well,
we're gonna have to bring people onto, into StreamYard then.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and share the link. And if we can pin that.
Okay. And I'll put it in the street epistemology text chat here. Yeah, if anybody wants to join, go ahead and just give that a clink and we'll bring you onto the StreamYard.
Raise your hand or on the you can still raise your hand on the Discord if you want, or you can, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can click the StreamYard link, come up through StreamYard. So two ways. Two ways. I'm going to drop this down just for a minute.
Yeah, some other complaints that we could explore are things like the universe is expanded from a hyperdense space. Um, their Earth is roughly 4.5 billion years old. Let's see, the sun is the center of our solar system. Um, let's see.
You reading them?
Yeah, I was just reading them. Uh, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you have you already done the announcement, Taco? I would say
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, okay, I got an idea. I figured it out. We'll pull up the stage if somebody actually gets on stage. How about that? That makes sense. Okay. but, I think somebody was saying they couldn't hear. Okay. Yeah, they're not it's because I don't have it pulled up right now, but once somebody comes on stage, I will share the screen, and then I think I have to hold on, share screen. Yep.
Oh, we got another one, Logic Dog. The No, there's no the comments attached to the Discord. You have to go to the text chat that's underneath the channel category.
We got somebody else raising their hand too, Logic Dog.
Yeah.
I guess I have to do it this way. Okay.
Um,
Okay, I gotta do it this way.
so that we are doing the street epistemology
Okay.
call-in show, so you can call in or go to the Discord channel, and you can come up and talk to us about a belief that you have. I think I'll send the link to you there, Austin.
Should I
Okay.
pull up Logic Dog?
You wanna
What do you think, Sushi? Has Winter Forest responded? Hmm.
There you go. Okay, their Winter Forest is they said they don't see a message. I'm just gonna bring them up. You cool with that?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Alright. Okay, let's do that. Winter Forest, invite to speak. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Okay, so the claim here would be that we can't know what the time of the universe is, or the age of the universe. Is that the idea? Okay.
Um
Gotcha.
d
Sorry. Go ahead, Sushi.
Winter Forest, would you be interested in joining us on StreamYard? Apparently, we're having some issues with getting the audio over to our streams. Would you be okay with that? Okay. I'm gonna direct message you the link, and then if you want to give us a join, I sent it, like I said, a direct message. Are you able to see that? Okay. Okay, Leslie should have sent you, yeah, either any of the stage mods here. So Leslie, Dax, Sushi. Yeah. I sent him the StreamYard link. If you want to
I
send
did
that
just turn
too.
it. I think I fixed the issue, but we can still do it through StreamYard.
Okay.
And once they're over here, I will take down the.
You got cool.
That's crazy.
Okay. Now the good thing about StreamYard is you don't have to create an account.
I'm going to stop the screen share really quick.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan. Thank you everybody for being patient with us while we're figuring things out.
Yeah, we'll have it. I would say within the next week or two, we'll have it down. Getting
Yeah.
so many messages though. That's another thing too. I got to keep in mind. Yep. Yep. Okay. I
I'm gonna
tried turning it up. So maybe that will just be our backstage then, because
Yep. I'm gonna message Logic Dog. I just sent you a DM as well with the StreamYard link. So once we get Winter Forest in here, if you want to come into the StreamYard, and as soon as we're done with Winter Forest, we'll bring you in.
all right, give us just a moment. I'm going to reshare the link in YouTube too, because did you pin it already, Sushi?
I did not pin it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pin it.
Beautiful.
Well, we were going to talk about messaging in SE, but it's hard to. It seems like we had to do more troubleshooting than we thought. We tried so hard. we
Yeah.
we tried so hard to pre-prepare, but I guess there's just some stuff you can't test.
Yeah, until you go live.
Yep.
All right, Winter Forest, are you able to get into StreamYard? We don't quite see it yet. Do we?
Winter Forest, you still there? They might be trying. Let's see. Show chat. Okay.
But certainly somebody in here has to have some sort of belief in something. All right, we all have beliefs, right, or opinions. Hey, oh, sorry, Winter Forest. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I think there's a lot of political issues, right, that we could be talking about. If you want to talk about that, it could be um, gun control or abortion. It could be, you know, like
Palestinian
spirituality,
Israel.
time crystals, essential oils, you know, uh, yeah.
I actually don't know how to pin these.
All right, Dingus
Um,
Kitty. I'm gonna send you a message as well with the link. Really, there we go. Winter Forest is with us.
All right.
There we go.
Let me just mute my.
Oh, let's
You have to.
Yeah. Oh, I have to unmute the.
Yep.
Oh man, we really didn't think this out too well, did we? All right, Winter Forest, you with us? Am I not hearing him, Wade? Quaid?
I'm not hearing him either.
Okay. I'm gonna move him down out of here while he's figuring things out because I don't want him to show something he doesn't want to show. There we go. Just kidding.
Okay. Jiminy. Okay. Yeah. He's got to fix his mic.
Okay.
And then so potentially Dingus
Yeah,
Kitty.
Dingus.
Show request. Uh-oh. All right, how do we get rid of this?
Oops. Yep. Not what I just did. I think you're gonna have to do that through Twitch.
I don't know. I'm sure I could think of a joke, but the ones that come to my immediate mind are not very appropriate. Yeah, I don't even know how to get rid of that.
I don't know how many.
What is it?
How many street epistemologists does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
I don't know. How do you know that you need to change the light bulb?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is a nerdy SC joke right there.
Oh boy. Yes, please. Anybody that has a belief. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I guess Dingus Kitty wants to just be in the Discord.
There's no way to make that work.
Yeah, at the moment, unfortunately, we need people coming into StreamYard. Yeah.
Yeah, we already shared it. Okay.
Well, I guess. All right, Quaid, we're bombing here.
Yeah. Too many moving parts at once.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe we'll just ignore the moving parts. Yeah, and the other thing is that it is the Super Bowl too. So, yeah. Okay.
Hey, there we go. There's Dingus Kitty. Ah, thank you.
Yeah, save us, Dingus Kitty.
Welcome.
Hey,
Thank you
hey
for
guys.
joining us.
Oh, today is just not the day.
It is not.
Okay, that's about right. That is, at least the universe is consistent.
All right. So, yeah, we just did a stream earlier today about the ethics of street epistemology. Dingus said he can't. We couldn't hear him. No, we couldn't hear you. No. Oh, I guess he can't hear me.
What?
Too many moving parts, man.
I could hear him. Talking about in StreamYard?
Yeah, on StreamYard, we couldn't hear him.
Yeah. We do have a topic that we could talk about. I mean, we could talk about messaging like we were talking about earlier. Oh, there's Winter
Winter
Forest back
Forest is
again.
back.
Let's go
Dingus
ahead.
Kitty, yeah, we can hear you on Discord, but we have issues with routing audio to the live stream that we're doing. So unfortunately, we have to get people into the StreamYard. Sorry, we originally.
Oh, are you still listening to that? Winter Forest, can you hear us? Okay, well, I don't think we can hear you.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
All right. Okay. All right. And again. And again. Well, okay. So messaging in SE, right? Someone wants to test it.
Yes, me too. We are having major audio issues because me and Quaid are able to hear each other in StreamYard, but not in the stage. I guess we could.
I'll just double it up. Okay. We had a tester, but they're now gone. You wanted to, okay. But the idea faced stiff opposition. Oh, okay. You wanted to get Viagra on the free medicines list in Australia, but the idea faced stiff opposition. I feel like that wouldn't be. I understand that's a joke, but I feel like it wouldn't be that difficult. People love Viagra.
Leslie, could you join us in the StreamYard just so we can do an audio check? Because I know we tested before we came on here and it was working.
Or somebody, if let's see. I'm messaging it to you.
All right, we got Dingus Kitty. There we go.
Let's just try.
No.
Hey, Dingus Kitty?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. There we go. Okay.
Wow.
Success. That was terribly painful. Thank you for bearing through that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So yeah, what did you want to talk about? What was your belief that you have?
Well, I believe that so like I believe abusing animals is wrong. And I believe that you know, in these industries, you know, that produce animal products, for example, meat, dairy, and eggs, they abuse animals. It's inherently part of the industry. And I believe it's wrong to consume animal products if you are against animal abuse.
Okay. So could you like summarize that into like a single claim? Because there was a lot there. I think you had said that like animal abuse is wrong and
Sure.
like eating animals.
Sure. If you are against animal abuse, you should be vegan. given that you have the ability to do so.
Okay, so if you have the ability to be a vegan, you should?
Correct.
Okay.
If you're
Okay.
against animal abuse.
So could you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by animal abuse?
Yeah, I think animal abuse is causing unnecessary harm to basically an innocent animal.
And what are some of the reasons that you believe that eating animals is animal abuse?
Well, I mean, I've did quite a bit of research on the industries that breed billions of animals for the sake of consumption. And if you look at the conditions in which they live, they're quite horrific. And this is, I want to say, close to 95%, right? 95 to 98% of animals which are bred into existence into what are called factory farms. They live horrific lives, which most of us wouldn't wish upon our worst enemies. And then on top of that, they are killed at a fraction of their life, right? So they don't get to live out their entire lives, which some people actually believe. They live a tiny fraction of their life. For example, pigs are killed when they're 6 months old. They're babies, right? So they're like, like the bacon, the pork chops, and all that stuff. These are like baby pigs, right? And so like I've seen the conditions, and I did like quite a bit of research on the topic, and I've just found out that like they're just like basically like abused, right? Like it's like they're tortured, if anything, and then they're killed against their will, of course, because no animal wants to die. So I believe that's wrong when it's unnecessary.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you've done some research and some studies about the ways that animals are treated in factory farms, and because of this, you think that it's animal abuse to if you want to eat animals, right?
Yeah, like for example, like these are standard practices of what I'm talking about. For example, um, pigs, they have these standard mutilations done to them. And like for example, they have their ears clipped, their tails cut. It's called tail docking, and then their teeth are trimmed, and their testicles are just basically ripped out. And the reason they do, and they do this all without painkiller, by the way. And the reason they do this is because they generally keep them in just very cram-packed situations, and the animal's natural response is to kind of bite at each other because just they don't like have any room, right? So like if you can imagine, even if as humans, like you would be cram-packed with a bunch of other humans next to you, like, and you spend your entire life like that, you'd probably go insane and you'd start like punching and kicking people. But like kind of facetious there, but like this is what happens, right? These are the animals. What the animals do, they start biting each other. They get mutilated. They get injuries, and ultimately, those injuries translates to like infections and a lot of times deaths. But ultimately, what it translates to, which the industry cares most about, is profit loss. Because of these animals dying, they lose profits. And so instead of giving them more space, what they do is they mutilate parts of their body so they don't get these, they don't bite on each other's tails, for example, or their ears. That's just like one of the standard practice. Another standard practice, for example, in the egg industry, they blend up all the male chicks. So what they do is they hatch a bunch of chicks for the next generation of egg layers, right? And half are going to be males, half are going to be females. The males don't produce eggs, right? The males don't lay eggs. So they just blend them up on their first day of life. They throw them into a gigantic blender. Sometimes they just throw them into a garbage can, fill up a garbage can full of male chicks, baby male chicks, and just let them die off. Sometimes they gas them to death. And I believe that's wrong, just for the pure sake of sensory pleasure, and that's usually the case. I don't I know that we don't need to eat animals to get nutrients. Every single nutrient that we need can be obtained straight from the source. So I would consider all this to be unnecessary.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a lot of ways that you are viewing that the animals are having harm done onto them.
Mhm.
Um, how are you going about measuring the amount of harm that is done to the animals?
Um, I don't understand the question. What do you mean by measuring the amount of harm?
So, um, right. So, like, somebody there might be somebody else that looks at these as a necessary method for gaining food.
Mhm.
And how would we be able to like determine whether or not harm was being done? Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I guess an easy way for me to determine that is if I was in their situation, I can empathize. Considering these are conscious sentient animals, just like ourselves, it's easy to deduce the amount of harm that they're experiencing by just pure per empathy, right? And there's like, I mean, there's quantifiable amounts of studies showing like these animals are sentient. They have the same capacities to feel pain, to suffer, to have these emotions that we have. So they have the same sense of experience that we have, and if we were in that same situation, we would have a negative experience, and we would definitely consider it to be harm. Same as like, for example, let's not even say humans, right? Let's say like if we were to replace like cows, pigs, and chickens, for example, in these factory farms with dogs, I think you would quickly agree that they're like most people would quickly agree that they're being harmed, right? Yeah, and yeah, definitely culture has some sort of influence on how you view it, but objectively speaking, we could say that they are being harmed.
Okay. It how so I'm not quite sure that answers my question exactly.
Oh, okay.
Th- Yeah, I think you did a really good job of elaborating. It's just that um, we have like, where do you draw the line of what is and isn't harm? So, like, an example would be if we, only give a cow, an acre of land rather than 10 acres of land. Is that harm? And in the same way, how are you measuring how much harm is done to these animals? Like, what way are you making the comparison?
Well, I would make like again, I think the way I answered that question was basically using myself as like a subject, right? So like if I was
Mhm,
in that experience, I can kind of judge by my experience to see how much harm that would be, like how harmful that would be to me, right? And something like like these mutilations I explained, or like having your life taken away from you, for example.
mhm,
Like let's just say even they like lived super like thrilling lives on a farm, and like had all their needs met and everything, I would still consider it to be a harm to steal their life away from them, right? Against their will. Like if they're not consenting to like anything, which obviously they can't really consent to it, right?
mhm.
Then I would still see that as a harm. I would still see it as a moral wrong and a harm, because when it is unnecessary, I think it would be considered to be a harm. Um, I mean, it's regardless of if it's necessary or not, but I think it's just more justifiable or more
Mhm.
understandable when it is necessary, right?
Okay, so if I'm understanding you, is that you're saying that you kind of look at the way they're being treated, and you're saying like from your point of view, this is causing harm. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So if we
Yeah, there's
had,
no like measuring stick for like, hey,
Mhm,
like for example, if a dog's getting beaten, like, are you thinking about like, how much harm is being done to that dog? Let me measure that amount of harm. No, like you just
Mhm.
know, like this dog is being harmed, right?
Sure.
Right? Like, and then you need to stop it. And it's when it's unnecessary, like, okay, the dog's being harmed clearly. I'm not like
Mhm.
trying to calculate the amount of harm that's being done to the animal.
Okay. So if we had these two people, and one of them was, viewing, um, eating or eating animals as it doesn't do any harm because that's how they feel about it, and another person that says no, this is definitely doing harm because like they can clearly feel, and how do we determine which person is correct?
If somebody's saying, well, like if somebody's saying, okay, this animal is being harmed and this animal is not being harmed,
Mhm.
and like, how do we determine who's correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's enough like science to prove that like animals do experience suffering and like they do experience pain and suffering. And that these actions that like, are imposed onto them are clear-cut cases of causing harm and suffering. I mean, it's just I don't really know like in what sense like you would prove to them. I mean, we can show them studies that animals feel pain and suffer.
Mhm.
Like, but I don't even think like I think people have to be like willfully ignorant to pretend like that animals don't experience suffering and pain, or like intellectually dishonest, right? Um, but you're right. There are a very few amount of people that would say like, oh, they don't feel pain or like they don't experience consciousness. Like, but there are like actual studies that show that animals are conscious. They're sentient. Well, most animals are sentient, and they have these same capacities to feel pain and suffer just like we do.
Okay. Yeah, that
So
was
I kind of, I would deduce that, like, and I would draw the comparison to how we experience, right,
mhm.
harm. Yeah.
All right.
And
So
I would say that there's also no meaningful difference in terms of how we would experience harm and how they would experience harm.
okay. So
But I
so if
think I would, sorry to interrupt you, but I think
yeah,
like the main
go ahead.
thing would be to like, because if you just kind of like, if you're not giving me an exact example of harm, because there's different examples of harm, but like if you're not giving me like an exact example, like of harm, then I can't really say like how to show this person, how to prove to this person.
Yeah,
If
I
that
think
makes
that
sense.
was a good answer. You were saying that first of all, you like not really sure that there's a way that we could like definitely measure things, but we could do studies to show that they have, um, that they experience harm in the same or a similar way that we do. Um,
Mhm.
that them, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and there are like there are studies that show that they experience pain, right? And um like it's kind of, again, I would say you would have to be like intellectually dishonest to say like, oh, like having your nose chopped off would not cause like any harm to like an animal. Like when they clearly have the same capacities of experiencing pain, having the neurotransmitters and everything, and having a brain and everything to experience these um, experiences. Sorry.
okay. And I have another question for you, but I feel like you've probably already answered it.
Okay.
Why is eating or causing harm to um, animals that we, use as food considered bad?
Well, yeah, I think I did answer it, but basically,
Mhm.
animals don't need to be considered food, right? And they're not necessary for food. And in that scenario, because I mean, humans can be considered food. Like we could make anything food for that matter, right? Like anything edible could be food. But the sense that there's a moral implication when we're basically breeding billions of animals, enslaving them, essentially torturing them, and then stealing their lives, from them at a fraction of their life, right? They're not living out like wonderful long lives and stuff like that. Like they're generally like, and like if you like again, if you would replace it with a dog, like most people would agree, like if just change the species of the animal, that because people are quite conditioned to think it's okay to like do all these horrible things to cows, pigs, and chickens, right? To like enslave them and kill them. But if you were to change the species, like, and say like, oh, there are cats and dogs in there, like people can have a like I feel like people would have an easier grasp on the issue at hand, right? Like people would have a what's the word I'm looking for? They they have like I feel like with cows, pigs, and chickens, we're like desensitized to like the abuses that are happening, but with like dogs and cats, we're still empathetic for those animals, whereas we don't like have that sort of sense of empathy for these other animals, even though they're both feel the same way.
Why draw the line where you're drawing the line?
I think sentience is an important factor for me. I think it's just in terms of like moral value, because for example, like plants are not sentient, right? Plants don't feel pain, they don't experience pain. They never developed the ability to feel pain or even move, for that matter, because it wasn't necessary for them. It wasn't necessary for their survival. Whereas animals like us, like humans and like mammals, at least, at the very least, right, and like other animals, have developed these abilities to protect our survival, right? And to like, we experience pain because it helps us survive. We have feet and arms and stuff to help us move away from things to help us survive. So, but these like organisms, like plants, they don't have that ability, and it's they don't experience these like horrible sensations that we would experience, right? Like they don't experience suffering. They don't have the capacities to experience. They're not conscious. And so that's why I would draw the line there. I don't know if that was the question, but that's
yeah. I think that gave us some room to grow there if we could explore more.
Yeah.
The sentience consciousness part seemed to play a big role, or being able to suffer. What do you mean by sentience or consciousness? How do you determine? Well, let's start with that. What do you mean by sentience or consciousness?
Well, sentience, for the most part, is having the ability to have a subjective experience. So, we're subjects in this body. We're aware of our environment. We're aware of what's going on, and I think that's an important aspect to consider, because, again, like I will go back to like sentience. Like I think sentience is important because we have that ability to experience, whereas these other organisms wouldn't have that experience.
Okay. How do we go about finding out whether an organism, animal, human, or what have you, is sentient or not?
Well, there's studies, right? I mean, I'm not a scientist. I can't tell you the exact methodology, but there are studies and they have shown like most animals to be sentient. There are actually some animals that are not sentient. But like we know for sure plants are not sentient, right? So there are studies in that, like they are tests that they can run objectively to determine if something is sentient. Something or someone, I could say, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
somebody on
like,
YouTube made a
yeah,
comment.
but I would
think
also
is a
say
good
like,
question. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't. No, I would also say like these are questions we would never bring up. Like, I mean, they're good questions, but like I would say it's something we wouldn't bring up if it was talking about like other human beings, for example. Like, how do we know if this other human is sentient, right? Like, how do we know they experience pain? How do we know they suffer? Like, what amount of harm is being done to them? Like, no, we just know this is harmful. It's like there's no doubt about it.
Hmm. Well, um, It
Or like
goes
a
kind
dog,
of
like a
yeah,
dog
it
being
goes
kicked, right? Oh, I
it
wanted to mention one other thing. Like, I think in regards to the harm aspect, right? Like, I do think,
mhm,
again, if there was like a Jolly Farm, right? Like, if like there, I guess there are some cases where like animals are treated a little nicer, but it's a very low percentage. Like I said, the 98% of animal products, when you go to the grocery store or restaurant, they're coming from a factory farm. These animals are tortured and then killed. There's no question about that. And like I did quite a bit of research looking into that. And let's just say, for example, small scale farm, the animals are treated really nicely. I would still consider that a moral wrong. I would still consider that to be a harm to steal that animal's life, to kill that animal just for the consumption of food. If you have other options, right? If you have other options and you're not like, you don't have to kill the animal to survive. I would still see it as a harm to the. I mean, regardless, it's going to be a harm to the animal, but
so
I would still see it as like unjustifiable harm.
I'm still trying to understand the harm part.
Uh-huh.
If we had somebody, you would use the example of kicking a dog as doing harm, and I agree with
Yeah.
that statement. But you had said that you just know it. But how do you determine whether or not it is harm? Let's
Well,
use like a less
yeah,
extreme
like
example, right? If
yeah.
there was a person that wasn't from, the earth or whatever, and they came down, how would you be able to say this is definitely harm?
Well, the thing is, like, we can't read non-human animals' minds, right? So we
Mhm.
have to infer, right? We have to infer by their reactions. We have to infer by how they respond. Just like we do with our cats and dogs, we can determine like, hey, maybe this dog doesn't want to be locked up in a cage 24/7, right? Like in a two by two cage or whatever. Like maybe it's probably causing them harm, right? Like how do like I guess I could ask you the question, like how would we determine if that's being harm for the animal, right? Like I mean, it's like it's inference. Like we look at certain things, like okay, we could see that it's not benefiting them. We could see that it's not in their best interest. We know that they want to be free and happy and just like enjoy their lives just like every other animal does. So that's how, like I would say, like when you're asking like how do you know if it's being harmed, like I mean you can infer certain things like I don't know, like what was your scenario with the dog? You said something, I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say like a less extreme example. Like maybe you have a large dog that lives in a really small apartment. Is
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, is that harm? Like, how do we
Well,
determine whether or not
so
that's harmful?
yeah, I mean it's questionable. Like so the best way to for me to look at it is what's in the animal's best interest. So if the other option for the animal was to be stuck in a cage in like say for example shelter, um, and that was their only other option where, versus your apartment, which is I don't know, like a reasonable size apartment. Given that you probably have to walk the dog every day, I would say it's probably a less. It's probably not a harm because you're also taking care of the animal, and you're giving them walks and stuff like that. So like I would say that's probably fine. Like I don't see that as being a harm, and you can again like you can kind of infer from how the animal's responding.
Hmm. Go ahead.
So the main thing is like when it really comes down to it, it's like looking in their best interests because again, we can't read their minds, right? Um, Looking in their best interest and not like how we can, not our best interest, right? Like how we can benefit from them, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I have these may have been asked already, by the way. I was putting out fires in the background here, so if they have been asked, I apologize. Um, is
Oh, nice.
harm the harm the only like consideration in deciding whether or not something is moral?
Um, is it the only consideration if deciding? So I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Yeah, like I'm sure there's other considerations, but I can't really think about like in what context though. Yeah, I think harm is probably like a good, like a framework of determining why something would be wrong.
Well, so I guess some of the things that I'm thinking about here are like, if something, let's say, okay, this is still going to be a little abstract, but go with me for just a second and I'll think of a better example. If something causes harm to a species in a particular way, but this thing actually helps the species survive and propagate,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is that still considered, is it now moral to do that thing?
I'm still like determining my like moral, I guess you could say moral framework, right? It's not a like solidified thing for me. And I wouldn't consider myself to be like a utilitarian. So that I think what you're saying would kind of fall into the utilitarian category, like maximizing utility, um, and reducing harm in that aspect. But I don't know if I fall into the under that. Like it's really hard to say, to be honest with you. Like I don't, you'd have to give me like a specific example where I would like I could like tell you my input on that.
Okay,
Because
yeah,
like
I'm not
I
saying.
don't believe for me, like I don't believe morality is like objective. I do believe morality is subjective, but like, so that's, I would have to get an understanding the specific context.
Got you. So, and I'm not saying that this is the best example. It's just one that I can think of. But for instance, some people might argue that if we kind of like release these species, some of the species that we farm, they wouldn't be able to survive in the wild, and they might, be eaten or something like that. And really, the only thing continuing the species is the interest of some humans to eat their meat.
Oh yeah, then that actually might be true. That's possibly true. Like we've bred these animals to have like to the traits that that are favorable to us, right? They're not favorable to the animals. For example, like chickens are bred to have so much meat on their bodies they can barely even walk around, right? Like we've bred all these traits into them that are favorable for us to consume them, not, and they're not favorable for them for their lives. Cows can definitely not live their lives like without our care now. Like they're not even native to United States or anything. Same like these chickens, like they're not like the jungle fowl that used to exist, the wild jungle fowl. They So yeah, these animals like don't really have the capacity to survive without us, or I should say like maybe some of them do, but like for the most part they kind of need our care to survive. But I don't think just because we've done all this, like we've bred them to have all these traits to the point where they have to depend on us. I don't think it justifies to continue breeding them by the billions, by the way, to consume, again, to enslave them and consume their flesh when we can easily get like nutrients, like all our required nutrients outside of animal products.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think that pretty much answers the question I had. I could probably ask it multiple ways, but we do have another caller here, but I think we should bring them up first to see if we can actually hear them before finalizing the conversation with Dingus Giddy. Does that sound good?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
But I appreciate the conversation. Sorry I wasn't aware for good
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Sushi. I've got so many messages happening right now.
I know. I've got people messaging me too.
Okay.
All right. First time hiccups, man. Yeah. Thank you, Dingus KV. Yeah. All right.
Hold on, just stick around. Stick tight for a second, Dingus, because I just want to make sure we can actually hear Winter Forest.
I'm gonna start cooking up some stuff. Are they messaging like about like the audio issue or what the conversation?
Yeah, apparently there is an endless number of audio issues. Like I was streaming to the Discord and it was working, and then it stopped working. Apparently, people stopped being able to hear the stream. So it just, sucks. I guess
that it's on just, Twitch and Facebook and Twitch. So or X. So multiple platforms, multiple audio issues. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Winter Forest, are you with us? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yep. See, that's why I did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I had to
Right.
come on here twice, and I think what one of the things that might be contributing is that I'm on my mobile right now, so because I switched from Discord to here, it might be Discord might be seizing the audio, but it somehow worked the second time. I don't know how that happened.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I didn't think
What
about
are the
mobile.
rules? Okay, let me see.
Because when you know how that works when you have like multiple applications.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring
Okay.
Winter Forest back up, and I'm going to let them know that to try to close out of Discord, and then yeah. Can Winter Forest? Can you hear us? Can you? Okay, we can see you talking. Can you close out of Discord, then and end StreamYard, and then come back into StreamYard?
That might be hard to do because the link's through Discord.
Well, as long as you're not connected in the VC, I think you should be okay. But yeah, yes.
You just have to copy the link and throw it in your browser.
Oh, I guess there's no audio, my audio in the Discord for the stream.
Well, you muted yourself,
I did because I guess we were getting echo.
which is probably for the best, but Winter Forest. Yep, frozen.
Okay.
All right. Well, I did have other questions too, but
Yeah, me too. In chat there was quite a few good questions that I think would be great to ask. Like, um, what was one of the ones? If animals were bred to not be sentient, would it still be a problem? Let's see what.
yeah, that is a good
Yeah.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Or levels of sentience. Like, what if we found out that trees were sentient, or we found out that plants were sentient, or that sentience exists on all levels? Because then, what would be the ethics there?
Oh, all right. Winter Forest is back. All right. Still no audio. Let's see. Maybe, can we edit there?
I don't think it's anything on our end.
No. But yeah, trying to find the limits of a moral claim like that can be challenging. Um, and I think I did ask, like, where do you draw the line, and how do you measure harm? And harm is like, that is a difficult question. Even the phrasing of it kind of is weird. Like, what metric would you use for harm, right? Because there's all different ways that we evaluate harm subjectively. And then we all have our own opinions about it.
Yeah. Like, I think what I was getting at with the, is harm the only consideration? Is that weighed against anything? Like, if it, the thing that came to mind, which I know is a really bad example, is like exercising. Is like, you're technically tearing the muscles and it's painful, but there is some type of reason or growth involved.
Right. Yeah. And it's easier to evaluate the more extreme examples, such as, Dingus Kitty is back. Do we want to go back with the?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
I think we can. Let's we'll try winter.
Welcome back.
But
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I gotta, after this, I'm gonna make some food. I'm like starving myself.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I think some other things we were wondering, Dingus, would be, one of the things would be, if you found out that sentience existed in all things, how would you approach this? How would this change your position at all? or your confidence in it?
If sentience existed in all things.
Yeah, like, let's say we found out that the vegetables that we crop are actually sentient on some level.
Yeah. That's an interesting hypothetical. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that would change my position. Because I would still, and then if that was the case, then I would like, I think you mentioned this. I would consider like levels of sentience. Well, I mean, I still kind of consider levels of sentience, because, you know, I would still say I would probably revert to consuming like crops, right? Because I would still see that as probably like a lower level of sentience and the least amount of harm. Considering that I would have to still like eat to survive, right? Like if I had
Yeah.
to eat to survive, then yeah, I would still, obviously I would still consume like plants, and in the sense that they would probably have a lower level of sentience. So I think for me, I think there's like levels of like I mean, there's obviously levels of moral value, right? And so like I would still say that the plants would have like the least, or a lower level for that matter. In order,
Okay.
like it's like saying like, I mean, like I don't know what the question's referring to specifically. Could you rephrase the question, please?
Yeah, it is. If we found out that sentience existed on like all levels, like even at the atomic level, so this would apply to things like plants or other things that are consumed. Would this
Mm-hmm.
change your views or position on this topic so far?
Oh,
Or yeah.
no, because I would still consider experience like harm, as an experience, right? Even though they're um, maybe sentient, like somehow they're magically sentient. But I think one of the capacities to experience harm is sentience, right? So I don't, you know, suffering for that matter, is sentience, and I don't think that these like plants and some animals, for example, some people, there's like a debate about oysters if they're, you know, if they experience suffering or harm. Um, and so there are also other questionable animals like insects, which we don't really know, like scientists don't really know the level of sentience for insects. But like animals that we do know, like sorry, I'm kind of getting derailed.
You're right.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like I just don't know enough. It's like, and then like, you know, like at some point maybe like AI is going to be sentient, right? But I still probably want to assign the same moral value that I would
Mm,
that to someone that experiences harm like we do, right?
okay. Gotcha. So just to make sure that I'm on the same page with you on the last bit there, the idea is that if you would apply this to AI if we found out that there was sentience that is comparable to our own.
That's, you know, that's a really good question, and that's something that I'm thinking about. I'm not sure if I would have the same moral value to artificial intelligence sentience versus
Hmm.
human or like biological sentience. I'm not sure, because it's just like I think probably at some point yes, but it's really, yeah, that's like a tricky kind of area for me.
Okay.
That'll be interesting, definitely, when that happens, if that
So
happens.
what about their sentience? Because you said that it seems like, if I'm understanding you correctly, if I'm not, let me know. But there's kind of one version where their sentience is like ours in important ways, and that would cause you to view the harming of that sentience as immoral. In what ways could they be sentient and you not consider it immoral? Does that make sense?
Actually, yeah, actually, you know, not like uh I guess I was just thinking about like um So sorry, I might have misspoke. So I was kind of thinking about like physical harm, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that would probably, they probably wouldn't have the same capacities to experience physical harm as us, at least not yet. But I mean, there would be no reason for them to experience that because it doesn't. It's not necessary for. I don't know if it'd be necessary for their survival. It might be, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it more, to be honest. It's not. It's like a topic I threw out there because it's something I'm not really 100% on. Like, if I would still say that if they have the same like level of sentience that we do, then I would still give moral consideration.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the honesty there. I
Yeah.
think that's really noteworthy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I mean, there's no point in being intellectually dishonest. It's like, why even bother having a conversation if you're just so rigid and trying to prove yourself right?
Yeah, I agree with that one. We learn when we're wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's how we evolve.
Earlier you were saying that there's kind of like different levels to sentience. Is that correct?
I think I would consider there to be different levels. Some people will say that sentience is just you're sentient or not sentient, and for me, I'm not clear yet on this, but I think that there's different levels of sentience depending on your capacities to experience. But I might be associating sentience with something else. It might be, I don't know if it's
I think
sapience,
you're
but
using it correctly. Just the ability to perceive, right? Perception.
having a subjective experience, and yeah, it's having that.
Okay.
Oh,
Did you cut out?
did he cut out? Yeah, I think he cut out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, oh,
A
you're
little.
back. Yeah,
Oh, you know what happened? Okay, so I think I know what's going on with the audio. So
and you cut out again.
well, okay, I'm hearing myself.
There's something between Discord and StreamYard that just was
That's
not.
that.
I've seen
Yeah.
other people do it. I don't know what it is yet, but
Yeah, I think we got to
Yeah.
get voice meter bananas going.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're
I
talking
used
about that.
I used to have voice meter banana, but so right now I'm hearing myself and it's super annoying. I think what happened is that I switched the app, and now when I switched the app, it cut off the audio, and now when I came back to it, I'm hearing myself, and it's like I can't hear it. I want to hear myself.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do testing with mobile because I think we were all on our computers when we did testing. Mm-hmm.
That's true. Mobile, I'm gonna write that down.
Yep. Right. Do you want to try to bring Winter Forest up one more time, and then Dingus Kitty, if you want to continue talking with us, if we
We can
can't hear
try.
Winter Forest,
Oh
yeah.
shoot!
Or do you got to go? Oh, never mind. They left.
All right. Well, let's hope Winter Forest works.
All right, Winter Forest, you're on. Can we hear you? Can anybody hear us?
Great. Awesome. We can, yeah. Okay.
Yep. No luck.
Well, we could wait for another caller. We could talk
Yes.
about messaging. That's one thing that we had as a topic.
You're referring to direct messaging?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is direct messaging?
I think it's where you are kind of revealing where you want the conversation partner to go or end up in terms of it's where you're messaging your own beliefs and stances. That's what I thought it was. Right? Is that
Okay.
it, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I think that sounds accurate. So you're saying direct messaging is kind of when you're, in a way, like pushing your beliefs onto somebody or asking maybe leading questions that is pushing towards your opinion. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the idea.
And why is I mean, it seems as though you're saying that's a bad thing. Why is that a bad thing?
No, I don't think it is necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
I think the opinion right now is that it is a bad thing within SE. And I think it's more about how you do it.
Hmm.
I think during the stream today, you were during the module review, there was a good nuanced conversation about it, and I think ultimately it's how it's done.
Mhm. Yeah, like, is there so they're saying is there could be times when direct messaging is useful?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Like again, you're going to talk to some people who um, they kind of know, they suspect what you believe, or they even think they know what you believe, and um, you trying to hold that back from them is going to hurt rapport, as opposed to just saying, "Okay, yes, this is what I think," even though that's kind of not the point of the SC conversation. That type of deal.
Yeah, that is challenging, right? Because I at least know when I do SE, I always try to keep my thoughts and opinions um, out of the SE as much as I can. Or what I've heard recently, another content creator says being dead on side, dead inside, so not
Oh yeah,
having thoughts and feelings about whatever's being discussed. And then when somebody's asking you, like maybe about your belief as when you're the SEer, should you respond to that is kind of what is up for debate. And I think more traditionally, it's like, no, you're like, okay, I can answer that at the end of the question or the end of the conversation. But right now, I'm trying to understand um, like what you believe and how you believe it, and then maybe we can talk about what I believe later. Um, yeah.
well, we have Winter Forest in the
Can we hear you now? No.
still no. Sorry, Winter Forest.
Sorry.
We tried.
You're trying so hard.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry, man.
you have
Hopefully we can work it out
headphones?
in the future. Yeah,
Oh,
headphones with the mic. StreamYard doesn't like us today.
yeah, man, a load of tech problems.
But yeah, I don't necessarily, we can talk about the phrase dead inside. I have issues with that. But I'm sure you do too, actually. So
Yes, yeah,
about it.
yeah. I prefer the term neutral. Um, but well, in the stream we did earlier about the module review, for the course Navigating Belief, which anybody who's unfamiliar with street epistemology, there is a free course online that's available. You can go to navigatingbelief.com and learn how to do street epistemology. I mean, you could do it in a single day, and you get a certificate of completion. But yeah, anyway, when we were reviewing the module, there was some discussion about whether, what is it to be neutral and why do we need to be neutral? Um, and I think what was important is having epistemic humility and civility is really the two main forwards, and you don't necessarily need to be quote unquote neutral. But when I use the term neutral, I mean it's about not imparting, or as much as I can. There's no way for me to not be biased, but try to remain unbiased as possible and keep my own feelings and emotions out of the discussion. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say it's I even have a problem with the neutrality thing, but I think the second
Mm,
part I'm on the same page with you about. Yeah, trying to keep your emotions out of the discussion, and the emphasis not really being on what, if you have a position, whatever the position is, you can be neutral, but on a lot of these topics, you're not going to be uh, necessarily neutral. But the idea is to focus on their claims And not because you don't want to focus on your own, just because it's kind of easier to do it that way. It can get really mucky if you're dealing with multiple claims at a time. And the idea is to allow them to explore their thing and not have it be centered on you or focused on you.
Right. It's supposed to be a collaborative conversation to understand the interlocutor, right? Um, the trying to really reflect on what they believe and why they believe it and how they know it's true. And the important part of like being epistemically humble is that it allows you, while evaluating or helping them evaluate their reasons, is it can change you too, right? And this has definitely happened for me in SE conversations. Um, at Humanity on, I've had a conversation with them, and after the SE conversation, it's like, you know what? I think we have more common ground than I would have previously thought. And like an hour before, we were having more of a debate conversation. We switched to SE mode, and then all of a sudden, there was a greater understanding for both of us. And that's why SE is important. And you need that active listening, and you need to keep yourself out of it so you can hear the person.
Yeah. I think you can end up sacrificing the authenticity if you focus too much on that, or even the perception of being deceptive. So to me, it's like I was saying, like, and I think it's just one of those things that SEers have to fill out for themselves. But for me, it's like, I'll say, if somebody asks, I'll say, yes, this is what I think, or I'll maybe not intentionally be vague, but give them just enough to convince them that I'm not trying to be evasive. Like, I'm not trying to focus on them and ignore me and be and avoiding scrutiny myself. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm fine with saying this or that. It's just not generally how an SE conversation goes. So something like that. So I'll give them just enough to convince them that I'm not doing those things, so that we can.
Yeah, and I guess it really depends on the question that the interlocutor is asking. Because there is definitely times where I do answer their questions, but then there's some that I don't, and it's like, well, I'll answer that one at the end. And the reasoning behind it is because you don't want it to influence the answers they're getting, right? Because if I'm having a conversation with somebody and I know their position, I'm more likely, if they disagree, to present my things as arguments rather than just what I believe, right? Or they could be making the assumptions about what my position is, and then giving those, arguments based on those assumptions rather than just reflecting on their own reasoning.
True. Well, I say we could try Winter Forest one more time, and then
Can we get you there?
oh
No.
no, I thought I heard something for a second, but
Oh,
just being hopeful. Yeah, you probably, maybe you need some headphones or something.
yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Winter Forest.
Yeah, I feel bad. They're really trying hard too, but yeah, it's just one of those days.
Appreciate the effort. Yeah. Yep.
See, so we got not many people watching us here, or in the Discord. But anybody who's watching the stream or know anybody or just wants to come up and talk about street epistemology, you don't even necessarily need to have a claim if you just want to discuss the hold on, I'm hearing myself. Or just want to talk about whatever.
Yeah. Can we talk about the thing that I had questions about that?
Oh,
or do you not want to do that?
Sure. What was it exactly?
Okay, so the idea was that
Oh, chats in the park. We got somebody.
Let's-
We'll hold
let's-
off that
let's
for
go with
later.
that. Yeah.
Sure. What was it exactly?
Whoa,
Okay, so the idea was that
I'm hearing
My
double. Are
own
you
voice.
hearing? Yep,
Yeah,
there we
yeah.
go.
I think they're watching the video.
Chats in the park. Do you want to mute the video and you're up on stage? Oh,
Okay. All right.
Chats.
well,
mute the video and
Yeah. Can you hear me right now?
we're still hearing you. You're watching the stream. You're gonna have to exit out of the stream or the Discord before you unmute here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if they do come back up, maybe,
I don't want to start
Well-
this conversation because once it starts, it's gonna be hard to not
well,
continue.
why don't you just let's say why don't you bring up the conversation? Then perhaps we can have a do another stream, and you could SE me on the topic, or we could just discuss the topic in itself.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea was whether or not trans people have a mental disorder. Right.
Yeah.
So that was it. And then the idea is, I think the place that we got into the conversation was you were saying that you saw it as a delusion, right?
It could be perceived that way, yes.
Okay.
This is it's very definitional, and it's contextual. So it depends on how you're utilizing those words to determine whether it is or isn't any of this, the criteria for mental illness or delusion, right? And like somebody who identifies as non-binary and transgender, like I don't think I have a mental illness, but in the same sense, yeah, I do, right? But
Oh, okay.
it's a matter, but it depends on how you're classifying it. It's definitional, right? And there's some people that would say that people do have a mental illness if they're have a particular gender or sexual orientation, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's said in a very derogatory way, and I think that's really where the problem lies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think that the conversation was centering around the idea of delusion. And so so the idea was if you have an idea of what the world is and that's not what it is, that's the delusion. Is that the idea?
A delusion would something that doesn't an experience that doesn't conform with reality.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
An experience that doesn't conform with reality. Yeah, and so that was the part that kind of I was wondering about, because it seems like that would apply to a lot of people. And we did bring up religion, so that's one of the things we talked
Yes.
about. But I would even say past that, I would say that if somebody, I feel like there's just a lot of I feel like you can have that happen in a given moment. Like you think that you wake up in the middle of the night and you see something that you think is a monster, but it's just really a coat on the rack, right?
Mhm.
I don't think in that moment you have a mental illness because
Right.
you are delusion. There's a discrepancy between
Yes.
what's in your mind and what the thing actually is.
Correct. And that's where the context and the definitions are very important. As thoughts upon a time here, it must be unusual to cultural context. And that's exactly how the DSM utilizes it when it comes to delusion, is if it's outside of cultural norms. But that leaves a lot into question, right? Because there's some things that straight up don't conform with reality, but if the culture accepts it as reality or is just normalized, then they don't classify it as a delusion. And that's where we get into some serious gray zones.
Okay. So under that
Mhm.
definition, religion wouldn't qualify as a delusion?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
That kind of
you want
clears
to
that up.
bring Chats in the Park back up and see if they're.
We can try. Their mic is muted, so.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, great. Sorry about that.
Great.
Question for you. What makes for a good SE question? I think there were some folks in the chat earlier who were kind of asking whether or not the question that came up about the ethics of eating animals, whether that was like a well-framed SE question. Are there things that you look for in trying to identify a well-framed question or elicit one from the interlocutor?
Yeah, my answer to that would be a open-ended question that would inspire reflection. So if it is not a yes/no question, if the interlocutor would have to take pause and think about it, or if sometimes they'll straight up say like that's a good question or that's a tough question, or I'm not quite sure. Then those are like indicators that it is a good like SE type question. Quade, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would just add one other thing, which is it can also anything if it clarifies the belief or reasons for the belief. So clarification and reflection, are the two things that I would say make a good SE question.
Okay. Are there any other kind of aspects that you think about when you get a question? I've had Chats in the Park, as my name suggests, and oftentimes I've found that my questions or my conversations can go kind of a little bit a ways from SE. And I'm not sure if that's a me issue or if that's a question framing issue. I think I generally get people providing political types of questions, which seem like they could be good fits, but often the conversation gets sidetracked.
Could you give us like an example of some times that maybe you're feeling as though you're getting away from SE?
Let me think. I had a conversation with somebody about the existence of, or I guess whether or not faith is essential for morality. And that's, I guess, a thing that I try to do in my conversations is I try to have them be a little bit more double-sided. Like the SE conversations are often relatively one-sided, and I don't want people to feel like I'm just kind of interrogating them. And so that may also kind of help it go off rails. But in that conversation, I think we got a little bit off track.
Yeah, that is no, that's good. That is the difficulty of having or making it double-sided, and that's what we were discussing before of kind of keeping yourself out of the conversation, is because it does kind of create the opportunity for arguing or debate. And it's about striking that middle ground, I guess I would say. So maybe giving them some information like Quade had said, but maybe not giving your full view of everything, and allow them to do the talking.
Okay. So it seems like you're striking a balance between giving enough information to establish rapport, but not so much that it kind of reveals your hand or puts people on the defensive if your views are different than theirs.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be even careful with phrases like reveals your hand, because it can sound like there's ulterior motives there. Yeah, and I'm sure that's not what you meant, but the idea is still that like you are trying to say enough to convince the person that you're not being like evasive, like you're not trying to avoid scrutiny yourself and focus on scrutinizing them. These aren't the reasons, or these aren't the reasons for epistemology. You're completely open to be scrutinized. It's just you're doing it because it's easier to focus on like one claim at a time, and you're trying to implement a certain conversational technique. So that's the idea anyway.
Gotcha. And then one more question. do you think SE is a good technique for decreasing polarization?
Oh yeah.
Part of my asking that is that it seems like to decrease polarization, you have to have kind of an open conversation where both people are kind of revealing themselves. And so I'm wondering, and maybe you disagree with that statement, but I'm wondering if SE can be used in a conversation that's a little bit more two-sided, or if it's really more of a technique that's kind of one-sided.
If it's two-sided, that is usually not considered an SE conversation. Like, I think that's the strict answer, is that SE is where there is an SE and there is an IL. But I think you can incorporate aspects of SE into any conversation and see positive results. It might not technically be considered SE, but who cares if it's productive, if you're enjoying the conversation and making progress in it. I think those are actually more important than whether or not you're having a strict SE conversation. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that helps. Sushi,
Okay.
you're going to say something?
Sushi. Yeah, I would say more to the point of the polarization. I think it definitely does help with reducing polarization, because the goal is to honestly hear somebody out. Pardon me if you hear a noise; it's my heater. It'll stop in a moment. Is honestly hear somebody out, right? And what creates polarization is when both people are yelling at each other and nobody's hearing. But if you're both hearing each other and listening, right, then there's more time to reach that common ground, because you're actually understanding, and you're not just, oh well, these are the things that are the hot button issues that I heard on the news, right? Let me just spew these out. This is what you believe. It's actually hearing what they believe. And also for like me personally, having done SE as much as I have, not that I've done it a terrible amount, but it's helped me be neutral, because I'm now evaluating my own reasons for anybody's belief, including my own. And it's showing that, hey, there's lots of people that hold very different views for very different reasons. And I don't know who's right. And trying to be as open to all the concepts as I can, and understanding that we're all people trying to navigate this world.
Okay, appreciate that answer. Do you feel like that comes across when you're having SE? Again, because of its one-sided nature, it seems like it limits the ability for your own, I guess, the extent to which you're moved by the conversation to come through.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess you'd really have to talk to my interlocutors. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure of that one. I would think so to some extent, but I guess for some interlocutors, it probably doesn't come through. Yeah,
For sure it doesn't. Yeah, there's been there's a semi community that knows about SE, that they view SEers as doing these kind of strategic trickery mind, what do they call it? The Jedi mind tricks. And that's an unfortunate perception, even though, I think to us, again, it's like, it's not that we're not open about talking about our own views or any of these things. And so, but that perception is still kind of formed, despite what our intentions might be. So, I think part of that is because of this, part of it is because of the position of a lot of SEers to not reveal your position. So there are pros and cons. Yeah.
Okay, guys, thanks for sharing your time and your insights. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Have a great one.
Thanks, Chad Park. And I wanted to piggyback off another thing.
Oh,
yeah. I'm glad we got to talk about that. The other thing that he was saying was about divisiveness or political polarization, and to it, like, and hopefully we'll get to show more of this in the future, but we actually do have a lot of different views in SE. There are some views. Yeah, there are maybe a handful of views where there's a majority on some topic, but that's a very limited number. On the vast majority of political topics, there seems to be a large range in the community, which I think is kind of how we want it. And we talk about these things. And I've been in plenty of conversations with SEers in the SE Discord, and they've all been great. I've never felt like I was like walking on eggshells or and tried to also create that atmosphere.
Yeah, certainly, a lot of people, are like, oh, well, we're a group of atheists. And it's like, well, there are a vast majority of are atheists, but there's other religious people. But then outside of religion, there's a whole spectrum of beliefs. We all have, different, views. And yeah, on the SE Discord server, it's a great community where we have these conversations all the time, and we genuinely question and talk and discuss about ideas and the reasons for our beliefs.
Yeah. So, we will have I think somebody's going to put out a video soon too that will hopefully demonstrate that. Yeah, but the atheism thing, is the biggest one, and still we've done so many things to try to say like we had a fiasco today where we were going to be thrown into that category again, and we're like, no, don't do that, and we do we have religious people that come in the Discord server and that we're close to and that we love and we enjoy talking to them.
Matter of fact, one of our stage moderators was a Christian, and I mean, I don't think they're as really a fan of SE, but they do enjoy the Discord, and they do discourse, and they do come onto the SE Discord quite often. And there's a couple other users that are as well that come frequently.
Yep. Yeah, well, we could go back to the topic. I mean, I don't know if there's a point in trying Winter Forest again.
I know, I'm gonna try.
Okay, all right. Let's.
Well,
oh my God! It
it
works.
works.
There is a
Can you
God.
hear me?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Well, my injection would be what you said earlier about the neutrality of truth statements and our emotions, and the delusion concept. If a concept of the universe does not conform to reality, is basically the same as saying it is an unjustified belief. So it's really about the justification. And the way I see it is that we only have three different justifications, really. We have logic without evidence. And then we have pure induction, experience without logic. And then we have the combination of the dualistic system of having a hypothesis and evidence, and using both logic and evidence. So if you say that religion or cultural context can define reality without justification, that a culture believe in magic, or that a village believe in some phenomenon. They believe that there is a ghost in the church or something, even though nobody has seen it, and that's not a delusion. Then it is really about the steps between the individual and the justification. So my question is, how distant is the average person from the justification of the belief? If that makes any sense, because an average person can have a radio or a cell phone, but he just used it. He's not an expert on the principles that makes the electronic device work. So he is alienated by several steps from the justification of the truth statements of everything that makes a cell phone works. So I'm trying to, So how about every description of reality? How detached are people from the justifications of belief? Because someone else do things for us. We live somewhere. Products are transported to us. There's an expert somewhere else who knows something, a little bit of the objective truth about anything, and then there's another expert, and there's another expert, and there's hundreds of thousands of experts. So we are all really alienated from the justifications for our beliefs. The bigger society becomes. That's my what I want to talk about. The alienation.
Even within the expert communities, it's like if you're learning physics, you don't go back to the very beginning and understand every argument and justification for every principle. At some point, you assume this is black boxing, from Bruno Latour is what he would call it. You start to assume most of it, and then you build from there. So I think it's even worse when we're talking about people who aren't in on the expert community. And I do kind of, I guess this is just a personal belief, view that as one of the things I hope to get out of SE is to reveal some of that underlying epistemology that people either don't know about and so don't accept certain conclusions, or they take it for granted and we should re-examine it even. I think so. I view that as kind of one of the benefits of SE is pulling some of that up to the surface for examination, because I agree with you. And I think that is a huge issue. Yeah, for sure. Thoughts, Sushi? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot there. And I think what I would come down to is I think you would really have to understand my position on it, which kind of is that I don't know, and I don't, although I say I believe things, I don't know what truth is, and not sure that we can know what truth is or what it even means for something to be true. I do accept or believe that, the most accurate thing I've heard is that it's things that comport with reality. Whatever that is, yeah.
Yeah. And we were actually talking about this in the server the other day, the idea of our relationship to the universe. We kind of see the universe as like conveying direct information to us, when in fact our brain is interpreting information that's conveyed to us, which is actually how it works. So the perception that your views of things are exactly what reality is not accurate. We know this, right? Like the desk is not brown. The color brown is actually what the desk isn't absorbing. So if we go to the atomic level, it's not like the atoms are going to be brown. That's what's actually refracted into my eye, but I call it brown, and that's my relationship to it. Even though, again, that's not at the most fundamental level of what the desk is made of, or any of that stuff.
That's the anti-realist position, which is curious because I'm a realist. So yeah, I would argue, okay, without hostility, I would argue that things, well, in a very technical sense, actually are what we perceive them to be. Because otherwise I would not be an epistemological realist. I would not be a realist unless I somehow said that reality is how we perceive it to be. But I understand that the argument, yes, the desk is not actually brown or this color. Those colors are created by the brain to represent these systems that actually exist.
Yeah.
Because we are not computers. We're not computers. We are not highly developed cameras. We measure things with our instincts. We have biology. So we have things like sound, taste, and the color spectrum. But those are a language that describes something. So if you say what you said before, that desk is not actually brown, then it's a matter of definition. Are you saying that the description, okay, it's just about the description versus what you describe? If you say that the description is connected to what you describe, that the internal state of the brain creating the color is connected to whatever the thing really is, then I can say that it is what we perceive it to be. But if you focus on the description, if you separate the description and say that the description, the internal states of the mind that represents color, are separate from what they represent, then you have a valid anti-realist position. So it's really about it. When we describe things, the realists say that we are actually talking about the thing behind the description, and the anti-realist is saying that no, we are talking about the description. The description is separate from what we describe. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
To be clear, I'm not an anti-realist myself. I just understand these philosophical arguments, and going a little bit off of Donald Hoffman's work on this, and the idea that seeing, like, we're not seeing the atomic structure, we're not seeing like the fundamental reality, we're seeing a rendering of it or an interpretation of it. And that's not to say that it's not useful. That's not to say that there isn't a way to word what we know in a way that is more accurate. It is just we're engaging with the universe at one level in terms of our perception, in terms of our day-to-day perception, and we need to acknowledge that we're not engaging with it on all these other levels, right? The limitations to our ability to see color. The fact that we can look at something and think that it's flat, but it's not like platonic flat. It's like if you zoom in on it, it's not going to look flat anymore. It looks flat to us at the level we're at. And that's the actual way that we're engaging with the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good example. They actually agree on a lot, and the hostility between the realists and anti-realist, I feel, is often because they assume what the other party is saying. But basically, they are describing the same thing, and they have the same evidence and the same view. They both say that there is a layer of reality, the description, and then there's like better, more objective mathematical layers of description, and then further layers of description, and so on. So they all agree on that. But it's what's relevant for the researcher. The complex is probably relevance and hidden biases, like we are using this for something. But if you look really hard, most epistemologies agree. Like there's very little genuine. The conflict is usually that you simplify the other position to make the other position absurd. But there is very little technical difference between idealism and realism and materialism and non-materialism. If you really look at the justifications of the belief. Yeah, but I understand what you say. It's very interesting. But
okay.
It's also better. Where I was going was Occam's razor, really, because if we're going to be honest, Occam's razor, because Occam's razor is a very old idea, and yeah, if we should use Occam's razor, then we could get rid of as many unnecessary theories as possible and have the simplest solution, and we should cut away all other explanations. Like, for example, if you have a problem that you don't understand something, and then you explain what you don't understand. The reason I don't understand it is because something else. And and when that explanation fails, you have an explanation to an explanation and to an explanation instead of a single explanation. But today, this doesn't seem to work because the amount of information we have is almost always multiple explanations. Why does this fail? Why does that explanation to the explanation why something fail? And then why does the explanation to why something fail to be explained by another explanation, etc. So the information that we have today on the internet, on science, in any education is incredibly distilled, common sense, and consisted of many different fields of medicine. So can we even use Occam's razor? I mean, and then we come to the situation that you mentioned before, where we all are narrow-minded specialists in a huge, complicated society and detached from the objective truth. Okay, sorry, I'm done.
No, you're all right. Yeah, I think that's all interesting conversations, and I'd like to maybe in the future go down that rabbit hole even further. But we do have somebody else that is making a claim. So if you don't mind, Winterforce, I know you spent so long trying to get up here. We would like to have a claim to explore.
It's fine. It's very.
Yeah, if you're going to be here next week, we'd really enjoy digging deeper into that. If you'd be interested, we should be here the same time, same place, same time.
Yeah.
You will see me around. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Winterforce.
Yeah, nice hearing from you. Bye.
Yeah, interesting conversation, by the way. I have so much to say on it, and it sounds like you know a lot too. So I'm ready to get down in it when we get the chance.
Yeah, feel free to join the SE Discord server. We're in there pretty regularly.
Where's the link?
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat. Give me a second. And let's see. There we go. Copy, and I will put it in the politics chat, and then I'll also attach it to the stream here since we're talking about it. Anybody that wants to join the Discord, feel free to pop in there and add me as a friend, or I don't know if Quaid feels the same way, or just chat with people in there. So oh
yeah, I think you have a lot to contribute. See you, Winterforest. Sounds like they looks like pros. So let's see. We'll remove and bring up Luke. It's been a while.
Hey,
how's it
how
going?
are you doing?
I know that voice.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's been a while. Nice to see you, Sushi, again, and Quaid.
Yeah.
Quaid, how do you say
Quaid, yeah. That's
Quaid.
Yeah, nice to
see you. So nice to see you.
How's the weather up there?
It is cold, but hotter than usual. I live in Canada, Quebec City. So, yeah, it's hotter than usual. Today was 2 or 3 degrees. Both zero. Usually it's under.
Yeah.
This time of year. So I have 2 claims, and either is down. So let's talk about miracles. Miracles recognized by the Catholic Church are proof of God.
That's good.
This is the claim I bring today.
Let me write it down really quick.
In the chat, and that's... Hey.
Yeah, Quaid, do you wanna start off with this one?
Yeah.
I've had tons of. I think I've SE Luke on this one probably more than more than
Okay.
4 times.
4
I might
times
have-
with that one?
I don't know, a lot. We've
Really?
had a lot of
Oh,
SE
shit,
conversations, right?
thank you. It was, it
I've
is interesting. I like exploring this claim a lot
Mhm.
because there are ways to find questions that I don't know the answer of. You know, like every time I explore the claim, there's questions that are like, yeah, I didn't think about that, and it's interesting to think about it at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, we may have even talked. I think we've had one other conversation, and we may have talked about this, but I don't remember. But okay, so usually my first go to is to ask for definitions. So could you define miracle?
It's an extraordinary event, which is caused by God, and lately
you
I had to specify causing causing relationship that is closer than the universe. You know, like he's the cause of the universe, so he's the cause of everything. But the
Oh,
miracle, he's closer than usual to the event.
okay. So what was the first part? What type of event?
Extraordinary event. It's a rare
Extraordinary.
event.
Okay.
Yeah, extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Okay.
I'm French, by the way, so sometimes my words will and I usually these days I debate in French or change or communicate in French through Scholasticus, which is a French version of a religious server on Discord. So yeah, I'm not used to talk English much these days. It's been a while. Last time I talked English was during at one time Discord went down, servers went down one after another, and this server went down. So I went to the SE server and found my French friends coming to the SE server. I'm like, "Oh, you there too?" And then we
Yeah.
had people saying, speaking the English with the French accent. It's a bit like that. It was really interesting.
I must have missed
Anyway.
that. I don't remember Discord going down.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was the force.
Got you. Okay. So events, so extraordinary events that are caused, let's say, directly by God. So
Yeah, that's the most directly that he can cause them.
Caused, okay. Directly by God. Okay. Directly by God, as opposed to God creating the universe and then the universe doing the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This, I think that's clear then. Some preliminary stuff that I just kind of like to ask, I guess, because it can kind of contextualize it. How long have you believed this, would you say?
Oh, that's a good question. It's been a while, many years, but not since the beginning. Miracles for me were things that were not explainable. And yes, God was the explanation for the miracle, extraordinary event where God is the answer. But as a proof for God, it's because of SE. That's why I had so many years, but not that much.
Okay, not that much. And then if you didn't have this belief, in what ways do you think your life would change? If you can imagine that. If you can't, we can skip past it. But
Yeah, that's okay. It's really easy because I lived without it before.
oh, okay, yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah, I hadn't have this belief. So let's say that miracles weren't created by God. So they were random events. You know. We have to be. I have to be very specific that when I say miracles, I always mean miracles recognized by the Catholic Church. There are two types
Okay.
of miracles, but the ones I'm talking about when I say miracles are the ones that are recognized by the Catholic Church. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. So miracles where I knew of their existence, but they were like lucky events for me before, and I was still choosing to be a Catholic, even if they were lucky instances.
Okay.
So wouldn't change much.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like in any really percent. So once you started, okay, now I believe in miracles recognized by the Catholic Church, did any of your behaviors change?
Yeah, well, it becomes the go-to proof when someone asks me, "What is the proof of God?" I would say, "Well, miracles." There we
Okay.
go. That would be the go-to uh, answer to the question. That's the biggest change, and I talk a lot about God, so because I have the French server that is interreligious, and well, I talk about the different gods: the Hindu God, the Jewish God, the Muslim God, and the Christian God. So yeah, and and when I talk about miracles, we don't have the saints.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting when you compare miracles of the Jews to miracles of the Muslims and to miracles of the Christians. And
Got it.
inside the Christianity, you have miracles that happen from Protestants and from the Catholic Church. So yeah, even those are really interesting to compare which one is more reliable and closer to the truth. Anyway,
No, that could be.
that's what changed. That's what's changed.
Yeah, that might be something to circle back to. Just one more question before we get started. I know you're very familiar with it by now, but how confident are you? Let's say from 0 to 100.
85. I would say 85. The fact that they are proof of God, it's 85. The fact that they are true, like real events of God, it's higher. But the fact that I could use it as a proof, it's low.
Got you. Okay. Sushi, do you have anything? I do have more, but
Yeah, no, keep going. I think you're on a good thread here.
okay. All right. So what information, if any, would increase your confidence that the claim is true?
It would happen to me.
If it happened to you?
Correct.
Oh, that's a
would be
great
like,
question
yeah.
then. Okay.
Yeah, if a miracle were to happen to me, like, okay, I'm sorry, but even that's a higher proof, like I have personal experience of things that has been taught to me, and yeah, that would raise my confidence to the roof. I don't think there is anything. Yeah, I would know it would come from God because I'm the one feeling the thing, or yeah. So yeah, that would raise my confidence the most.
Yeah, I think we're probably on the same page there too.
Yeah, I hope
I-
everyone would be.
Agreed.
I don't know many
Yeah.
people who has miracles organized by Catholic Church who didn't agree with this sentence or this claim afterwards. Maybe
Yeah.
there was, but I don't know of them.
Okay, so then that guy thing goes to another question then. So you've never observed like the miracles and the type has to be recognized by the Catholic Church. So obviously you haven't. Here's a question. Have you had miracles happen that you think could potentially be recognized by the Catholic Church if they would just kind of look into it?
Yes, there are many cases open at Vatican City that I believe they are true miracles, but they are not. The judgment didn't come down yet. We have absence of. We have the fact that it was quick. We have the fact that it's unexplainable by science today, but we don't have the assurance that it comes from God. So yeah, those two were so, and the context where they were presented to me, I was like, yeah, come on, she was a nun. the woman who was cured was a nun. I'm like, yeah, it's hard to think that it wasn't God who was responsible, but it's still open at the Vatican City. So
Okay, I might have
is the one who
not
made the ruling.
Okay, I might not have asked the question right, so let me ask it again, or maybe you did answer and I just misunderstood. I was asking if specifically you had experienced any miracles that you think should be accepted
Oh,
by the Catholic Church.
I understand. Not heard of, but experienced myself.
Yes, experience yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I heard of. That was the answer I gave you. But experience myself, no.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
think there would be such miracles.
Okay. All right. And then, so is there anything that could decrease your confidence that the
Yeah,
claim is true?
prove me wrong. it's the there is a process, and if the process is faulty, meaning that there is more than one miracles that has been recognized by the Catholic Church, and more than a few, I would say, that would prove out to be falsified. So the Church lied basically about it. That would decrease my confidence.
Or potentially just be incorrect. Is lying the only option there? Could they just be like heavily mistaken, or is that the only way that they could be wrong? Is by lying?
If they are heavily mistaken, it's different than if they lie. Heavily mistaken, they can make mistakes. That's okay. That would still diminish my confidence in the claim that it is a proof of God. You know what I mean? It's because it's not a good proof anymore. So I don't think I would hold such confidence on the claim. So, but it would still be they made mistakes a few times. I don't think I would still bring up to more than 50% insurance. If it's a few times they make mistakes, not a few 50%, but if they lied, that would like way down. I would like, no, that's not a proof anymore.
Okay.
They just
Okay,
lied.
gotcha.
I won't use it as a proof.
That's it. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that seems fair. That seems fair. Yeah, lying has a heavier. It's like if they're lying, then that shows intention. Whereas if they're mistaken, if it's just a few times, that's not necessarily indicative that they're wrong about the other things, right? Is that the idea?
Correct. They might be right, but the method used isn't the correct one. So as a proof, when I need the proof of something, I need some kind of way to make sure that this is true, and the way they use is too many times false. So I don't think I have a good confidence in it being true.
Gotcha. Okay. What information that you can kind of just recall off the top of your head convinced you that this was true?
The first time I heard an atheist talk about a scientific process, that was when the first time I heard about him talking about that, and it's like, and then he explained to me, it's a famous question I ask atheists, but would convince you of God's existence, and somebody in his answer gave scientific process as an answer to the question, and I asked was it this or someone more knowledgeable than me, a theologian maybe, and he said, "Well, scientific process, it's miracle. This is where we use scientific process. For each miracle, the scientific process is used to make sure that the event is not caused by humans."
Got you. So just to make sure I'm understanding, the idea is that the process that is used to confirm miracles is the same process as the scientific method?
Yeah, well, when there is a extraordinary event, it is looked at by scientific communities. Depending on the events, who's the specialist that look at the event. But and while the scientific community explore it, they will use the scientific process
Okay.
available to them to make sure that it wasn't something explainable by science.
Okay. So the kind of rule here is if conclusions are reached using a method that is more or less the same as the scientific process, then we should accept those conclusions?
If let's say let's pick one miracle, the bread turned into flesh. Okay. And it is we call that the Eucharistic miracle. That's how it's called. Eucharistic miracle, and it happened more than once to many people around the world, usually priests, and the bread turns into flesh. So those scientists explore this transformation of bread to flesh, and let's say they find out that there is an enzyme, whatever, that the priests push into the bread, and that's where the flesh comes from, right? And that's the answer to why they don't need to prove that this the priest puts the enzyme in it, but they need to prove that it is possible for an enzyme to be able to do such a thing. That to happen that way, you know. And in these cases, the miracle is not recognized by the Catholic Church. That's why where's the scientific process? The scientific process is used to understand that it could be bacterial, this bacterial thing can do.
Okay. Okay, so I think I understand part of what I'm misunderstanding here. So the idea is if something uses the scientific process, then the conclusions derived from it are reliable.
Yeah, of course. If
Okay.
you yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that seems pretty
The
good.
conclusion is we don't know. It is variable that you don't know, but I don't know how reliable. Well, it is variable. You don't have any way to know or understand what happened. That's the answer on is it for.
Okay. So then I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it and see if maybe I'll be surprised. So then if you found out that the processes that were used in uncovering miracles or believing miracles or accepting miracles weren't scientific or weren't the scientific method, would that decrease your confidence?
So it's not just scientific method. Scientific method is one of the parts that is
Okay.
used. So if there weren't any scientific process used in the part of recognizing miracle, yeah, that would decrease my confidence of the claim miracles are proof of the existence of God. The reason why it is a proof is because the scientific process has been used to demonstrate that we don't know who is what is God.
Okay. Okay. So I am thinking.
And when I say we, I mean the scientific.
Yeah. So-
we, the Christian, know, but we, the scientific community, do not.
Yeah. So when do we how do we figure out whether or not the scientific process is being used for anything, not just for miracles, but if we have I don't know, the Mormons come over and they say, well, we think we've used the scientific method to prove X, Y, and Z. How can we come to understand whether or not that is or isn't true?
And use the same process yourself. Usually, when someone says, "I use the scientific process to find this answer," all right, to the question, and you could try yourself. Usually, that's what, and you should find the same answer.
You should try. Okay. You should
Could try,
yourself.
and you should try. You should find the same answer. That's a peer review process.
Yeah, verificationism. Okay, so have you done these things yourself then, or have you I guess retested the miracles? Is that the
No, I don't need to. Many people did for me.
Oh, many people did for you?
Yeah. There was
Okay,
more
I see
than
what
one
you're saying.
scientist trying to explain what happened. There was
Got
one
you.
the more person trying to reproduce the steps and say, okay, I don't know. That wasn't the answer. That wasn't the answer. That wasn't.
Okay, so then that's a very important step then in the scientific process is you have to be convinced that other people are testing and coming to the same results. That's
Yeah,
the
correct.
idea. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And that's okay. So I can't from there think of any realistic examples. Can you think of any, Sushi, or do you have other questions?
I do have other questions. It would kind of be going back in the conversation some um, about the, I guess, the church itself. You had said that, or if I heard you correctly, that the miracles confirmed by the Catholic Church. Um, why? I mean, how do I phrase this question? Um, how does the Catholic Church? No. How do you know, or what makes you believe that the Catholic Church knows what is and isn't a miracle?
Oh, they have the best definition of God, to my knowledge, based on the claims they have about God. They say God says this and that and this and that, and wants you to do this and that, and those claims about God turns out to be true. Therefore, the Christian God, or the Catholic God, more precisely, is the true God, and because it is the true God, they have authority of, or they are more able to recognize who is the cause of this extraordinary event. They are the people who are the more apt to recognize who is the cause.
If I heard you correctly, the Catholic Church, they have the best definition of God, right? And that's what makes them able to evaluate whether something's a miracle, or
Yes,
the
correct.
reason why you believe that they can evaluate whether something is a miracle. Okay,
Well,
is there?
what they do is
Mhm,
evaluate if it comes from God or not God.
mhm.
That's what they do. Those are the Catholic Church is just responsible to recognize if it comes from God or not. They are not
Right.
responsible to recognize if it is scientifically reproducible, but they are the ones I trust to.
Okay.
It comes from.
Is there any other reasons that you have that make you believe that the Catholic Church, um, it knows how to determine what is or isn't a miracle?
The, in the process, there are debates available from other religions. So when there is a dossier, a file open, is that English? When you open a case, that's the correct word. So you present a case to the Vatican City, to the Vatican, not city, but the Vatican, and miracle case is open. There is the scientific step where any scientist can come in and check, and there is the religious step where you have every religion are invited to claim that it is their God who is responsible for this extraordinary event, not just the Catholic God, but maybe the Protestant God, or maybe
I'm
the.
not sorry to interrupt you there.
Go ahead.
I'm not quite sure that's answering my question.
Okay.
My question was what other reasons do you have that makes you believe that the Catholic Church is able to determine a miracle?
Because they win this debate.
Because they win debates?
The debate of Christian God versus the other gods. When it comes to evaluate who's the one responsible for this miracle, they win this debate.
I'm not quite as sure I understand. Could you elaborate more, please?
When you have this bread turned into flesh, okay, and you have the Jews coming up and say it is a miracle. No, not the Jews. They won't have. It is a miracle from the Muslim. So it is a Muslim God who created this extraordinary. Who is the cause of this extraordinary event? And they argue against the Catholic Church, and they lose. argument. They lose the arguments, and therefore I have more confidence in the Catholic Church to discern who is the correct, have the correct answer. There are people who are smarter than me, have arguments that I don't have, and they can argue each other. And if I have a loser,
Okay, I think I understand now. So two of the reasons are one, the Catholic Church has the best definition of God, and the other one is their arguments for the explanation of the miracles is the best and wins. And those are the two reasons you believe that the Catholic Church can determine whether or not something is a miracle?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, those are two reasons why. Yeah.
Of those two, if you found out one of those or both of those, no, let me try again. Of those two, which one of those gives you the most amount of confidence in the belief
The first one, the one I answered
that
first.
they have
So
the best definition?
they have the best definition of God, so they can recognize easily
Okay.
God. So let's say somebody asked me about Quaid. Oh shit, I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry.
Quaid, yeah, it's difficult.
Quaid.
Yep.
Quaid.
I think of
think
a
that's
bird, like quail.
Wait. Oh yeah,
Quaid.
quail. Yep.
Quail, quaid.
Quail. Yep.
Well, Quaid. Okay, Quaid. So somebody talked to me about Quaid, and I've seen him, on camera, and that person haven't seen him on camera. So I think I know him physically better than the person who never seen him before. And somebody asked, why do you believe Luke more than this other guy? And he would say, because Luke have seen Quaid. So that's the analogy with the Catholic Church. They have a better definition of who God is. They have more knowledge of who God is than another religion.
Okay. If you were to find out that the Catholic Church didn't have the best definition of God, would you still believe that the Catholic Church is a good resource to determine what is and isn't a miracle?
No.
No.
They would stop. Let's say I say Quaid was wearing a black T-shirt that night. I would be wrong about the claim I hold, and if someone finds out that I claimed something wrong, they will lose confidence in me, even if and they will trust the one who never seen Quaid before, right? Because I claimed he was wearing black when he's wearing white. I hope so. I think
I'm
I
not
see
quite
well.
sure
Yeah.
I understand the analogy.
If the Catholic Church claims something about God that is completely wrong, I will lose confidence in them because there is another one claiming the opposite claim. They say white, it turns out to be black, or black, it turns out to be white, and I believe the one that is telling the most truth. I can be wrong, but they are the closest to what God is.
Okay. I'm not quite sure I fully understood that.
Wait, XX mode wasn't a good one.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I don't know how to rephrase it. So bear with me if I'm repeating myself, if you would. You have the Catholic Church that has a definition that says that Quaid is a person, right? And that is the best definition, right? But then you find out that there is another definition which says Quaid is a person and has a white shirt on, right? That is more accurate. If you were to find out that the Catholic Church no longer had the best definition, right? That there was another definition that was better, would you still believe that the Catholic Church was a valuable resource to determine whether or not something was a miracle?
I wouldn't hold. I would prefer the other one, the one that has more correct information about God. So I would ask them: is it God who is the one responsible for it?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. That answered my question. I appreciate it. All right. So, what ways have you determined or used to determine whether or not this definition of God that the Catholic Churches uses is a good or a bad definition? Sorry, that was a long-winded question.
Yeah, I understand. So why is the Catholic Church the true church, or the Catholic God the real God? That's basically the question. No?
No. The question is, how do you know that the definition that the Catholic Church is using is the most accurate one or correct?
It is, because it is the true God. They are describing the true gods. And how do I know that it is the description of the true God is because of the consequences of the claim they have about God. There are consequences. There are claims that are inconsequential. For example, the Trinity, one God being three, one God being three, not three. Anyway, this is inconsequential. There is no consequence in my everyday life. So if there is two religion, one saying God is not three and one saying God is three, I would be like, yeah, this is not something that could allow me to discern. But there are claims like Bacon. Bacon is one of those claims where you can test if it is true that bacon is bad for you. There is way to test it.
How do you test whether or not their description of God is true?
Yeah,
maybe it would be helpful before we ask the question to what is their description of God?
Yeah, they claim that God doesn't want you to eat bacon. There are religions who claims that bacon is bad to eat.
I'm kind of confused there. I was asking the definition that the Catholic Church uses.
Oh, in the Catholic Church you can eat bacon. You are allowed to eat bacon.
Well, no, what is the definition of God by the Catholic Church?
Oh, the whole definition?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's not just bacon, though. it's very
like bacon God.
I thought you were asking for an example of one of those things where the claim is different of difference between two gods. There are different claims of each god. But anyway, the best, the strongest, the perfect one, perfection. Those are what define God. Those are words that could define God. Perfection, best, or the strongest.
Okay, so God is the best, perfect, strongest, those kind of attributes.
Yeah,
okay.
Those are the words that could define who God is. And they have claims, but it's not on those claims that I differentiate two religions. It's on the little ones, the one that I can verify, because the definition of God in the Muslim community is similar to the definition of God of the Catholic Church. He is the strongest, he is the best, and he's perfect. So they have similar definition, but they have claims like the bacon one. That's where the difference is.
Okay, so I mean, this might be a bit long-winded. Let me know if you need me to stop. I'm gonna try to work all the way back if I could. So make sure I'm understanding and following everything. So the original claim was that the miracles that the Catholic Church have or have experienced is proof of God, right? And the reason you believe that is because the Catholic Church is a good way to evaluate miracles because they have the best definition. And their best definition is that it's those positive attributes, right? Um,
And he allows you to eat bacon.
and he allows you to eat bacon. That's a very
It's
important
really
part. Yeah, we
important
don't want
that-
to forget about the bacon. Okay.
Yeah, don't forget about the bacon.
And he allows you to eat bacon. Okay. If he didn't allow you to eat bacon, would it lower your confidence?
Yes,
It would?
it
Really?
would.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Well, you know, I might agree with you there.
You have tasted bacon. That's why you say that. You're not going to try. People who taste bacon, they say, "Yeah." But I don't.
Okay.
No, it's more profound than that. It's
Okay.
So sounds like a joke, but it's
Okay.
more.
So the Catholic Church says what God is, right? And then they tell you what is and isn't a miracle, which proves what God is, right?
Yeah. Well, they say, "I know God," and He's the one who made that. I know
He's the one
who
who
God
made-
is.
he
The
made
Catholic
what?
Church says, "I know who God is," and
Okay.
I recognize Him in this event.
Could you explain that? I'm not quite sure I followed.
So let's have Quaid pick the guitar, okay? And the guitar has been picked by someone, and I say, I know Quaid, and I was there, so I know best who is the one responsible of picking up the guitar. I know it's not Sushi. I know that it is Quaid who is the one who picked up the guitar, because I know what Quaid looks like, or how the image of Quaid and the name and the guitar in the background looks like. Anyway, there have many reasons to believe that the one who picked up the guitar was Quaid. Similarly, I have many. The Catholic Church have many reasons to believe that the one who is responsible for the extraordinary event, the bread changing flesh, is God.
Okay. So if I had somebody and another person, and they had this belief in a different God, and they said that they had this best definition ever for their God, and it was that they were the best, the greatest, and the biggest God, right? And it was like the best definition ever. And then they said that, because of this, I can evaluate whether or not something is a miracle, and that's proof of this God, right? Should we believe that God?
Is it true that in your hypothetical, is it true that they have the best definition?
Well, somebody believe, right? There's another person, right? And they believe that it is true that they have the best definition. That
Yeah, but is it true? Is it the best, or is it not the best in reality? Objectively, is it the best?
Well, how would we be able to determine if it was the best?
You check the
I
bacon.
mean, like it's saying, like it says that it is the best, the biggest, and the greatest God.
They have differences. Their gods have
Mhm.
differences to my God, and usually differences that touch reality, claims
Mm.
about real things like bacon.
Mhm.
So that's how you make sure that they have the best. You
Yeah.
compare
So it
the differences, and you choose which one is correct or more likely to be correct.
this other church has the best, right?
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Objectively the best, and I agree with
Yeah.
them. It is the best. Okay.
Okay. And because of this, they are able to determine miracles, right? And they say based on these miracles, their God is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. how would you be able to determine whether or not your God by the same reasons are correct, or their God by the same reasons are correct?
I know it is their God, not mine, because they have a better definition of God than mine. I mean,
Mhm.
they have the best, the most knowledge about God than me. Like you said, for Quaid, and the guy who had the knowledge that he has a white T-shirt, more knowledge than the one who said he was a person, just a person. So in this case, you have someone who has the more information about correct information about the God, and he claims it was this God that is responsible. I would say, yeah, you make sense.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, and I apologize if this is not what you're saying, if they said that theirs was the best, you would then believe their God.
They said and proved. I agree, it is the best, right?
Well, they can prove it because they have the best definition, and they can determine the miracles. So they say these miracles are proof of their God because it's the best.
Okay. The reason why it is a proof of God is because you can explain how their God was responsible for the event. I can explain how Quaid took up the guitar and bring it up to the camera. I can explain everything. I have reasonable arguments to demonstrate that Quaid and not Sushi is the one who picked up the guitar. So if they have similarly reasonable arguments for their gods, then yeah, this is who I would believe.
Okay, so if they had the same arguments which you have, you would then, which from my understanding of what we just described are the best definitions and the miracles, that you would then believe that God.
Yeah. It's I wouldn't still I wouldn't be a Catholic anymore. I would be this religion guy. They have the best one, so I will need to follow. I'm a logical person, I feel. I hope I am a logical person. Logically, if there is a better definition the Catholic God, Church has for God, I would have to follow this one. I don't want to be wrong in my.
Okay, so the because of the religion is saying that it is the best definition of the God, right? And it's defining what the God is.
Right? I don't like when you say it is saying. Don't say saying. So, it is not saying it is the best. Objectively, it's not just saying it is the best.
It is the best.
They proved it. It is, at least to me, they proved it. It is the best. Yeah.
Right.
They're not just
so
saying
this religion, well, I can't. I'm the third person, so I have to say it from the third person. Like yours, like Quaid's is the best. Like you are saying is the best, right? If I
try reframing.
Yeah, maybe reframing. I'm sorry if it's bad reframing. Yeah.
No, yeah. So could, for instance, a Muslim person say, in fact, one of the attributes of God is that, our God says that bacon is bad, and in fact, bacon is bad. If you eat it, you are more likely to die. So isn't this proof that my God is actually the better definition of God?
Yeah, it is one of the reasons. Yeah, it's a good argument. If they can bring this argument to me, a Muslim person would come to me and say, okay, here's the reason why God prevents you to eat bacon, and are reasonable in their demonstration. I would say, okay, we made a mistake. Maybe it is not permissible. I shouldn't eat bacon. And then there is all the other claims about wives and children.
I don't know if that's exactly where you were going.
And wearing the dress that they have, they need to, like all the difference with the Catholic Church. they need to explain.
Well, what?
There's the bacon one, but there's all of the other ones. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How do we like? Because I think I understand what you're saying, and maybe I don't. And then Sushi may have a different idea. But when you were originally talking about bacon, I thought what you were saying was we can be more confident that the Catholic God is the more correct God because the Catholic God doesn't have any restrictions on bacon, and bacon is in fact good. So that's obviously more accurate than a God that says bacon isn't good.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So then, but my question, I guess, is in terms of the good or bad, I assumed that we were talking about like actually physically good.
Yeah. For humanity to prosper and to be a better person, usually bacon doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah. Well,
Or
I mean,
maybe
again,
no.
I guess that's my issue is that it's like, and this is not, I think bacon is tasty, by the way. I don't eat it, but I don't eat it for health reasons. So to me, if you're telling me, my God says that bacon is permissible, and that's how you can be more assured because bacon is good for you, and then I have a Muslim come up to me and show me real studies of people, there being a direct correlation between people who eat bacon and having very poor health outcomes.
Yeah.
It sounds like that actually is the more correct God in that instance, based on but that's not reality.
Correct.
Say that again.
Yeah, it's a big if.
Okay,
the studies that you talked about, that he brings you, I have seen those studies.
Okay, gotcha.
Of bacon, and it's a big if.
Okay.
If it is true, but it is not.
Okay.
It is not healthy to eat too much bacon. I agree with you, quite. So don't eat too much anything. Bananas, bacon, whatever. Don't eat too much anything. So there is a healthy amount of bacon that you can eat. One is healthy enough.
Okay, I did understand you then. That's
one
good.
Slice of bacon. You can have one slice. Oh, it's a stepping stone to 2 slices and more and more. Yeah, I know, but anyway,
that's true.
It's not drugs.
Just a little bit of drugs is okay, but
you eat you drink alcohol, so you know of a little bit of drugs.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail there. If I did,
no,
okay.
It's good. You're
trying to understand.
Entertaining. I love the idea of talking about bacon. You have to understand that bacon is just one of the many. That's the thing.
Gotcha.
So I think I have one of many claims that Muslim has about what God says is good. For example, their God says it's good for men to have more than one wife. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's check that out. And then they say it is good for women to wear something on their heads, like to cover their faces. That's what their God claim. I'm like, yeah, like they have many claims. Bacon is the fun one, but they have many other claims about their gods that are, in my opinion, wrong, mistakes. Therefore, they don't have the best definition of God is. Therefore, they cannot prove that God is the one. Well,
Sorry,
they could prove that God is the one responsible for the event, but they are less reliable than the Catholic Church.
Sushi, I didn't want you to forget. Do you have another question?
No, I think we're at a good wrapping up point. I know it's getting late here, so.
I actually do, because earlier you were saying opinion.
I have time.
This is my last one too. But
okay.
you were saying
I was having fun talking about bacon and wine.
But you said
the first miracle that Jesus did is turn water into wine.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about miracles. Just saying.
At a party. Yeah. You originally, and maybe this was, you had said their God is wrong, or they're wrong about many of the things, talking about Muslims, right? And you said, in your opinion, or do you mean, is that different from matched up against actual empirical data?
Correct.
Or is it
objectively wrong to claim that it is good for women to wear the kirpa, or it is good to not eat bacon, or it is good to have more than one wife?
So would you okay? So then, would you still say that that's in your opinion, or you would say no? This is like an objective thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say if you are reasonable, you would agree that it is not a good thing to have more than one wife. Well, in most cases, there are cases where it is okay, but in most cases, as a general rule for humanity, it is not a good idea to have more than one wife.
Okay. I thought of one more question because I am interested.
Go ahead,
Okay.
have fun. We're here for
Have
that.
you made a list of all of the attributes of the Catholic God and the Muslim God and checked off when they did or did not match reality?
No, what I did was I asked a Muslim, why are you not Catholic?
Okay. So just
Yeah.
right.
Which is a shorter route, and I went to the imam, which is the scientist of Muslim. Well, they have people that are knowledgeable, like theologians of Muslim theologians. I talked to them about why they are not Catholic, and specifically on things that would impact my life, everyday life.
Got you.
Trinity is not one of them. You know, if God is Trinitarian or not Trinitarian, it would change anything. It wouldn't change anything in my life. But if I have to live with more than one wife, it is impacting my life. And if I have to not eat bacon, it does impact my life. And all those examples, I can give you hundreds of examples that they presented me and explain to me why it is their definition, which is the best one, God, and why does God want us to be that? And I could, I was able to determine the strongness of the argumentation, the reasons why they hold their belief. Is it strong or is it just because they were told so?
Okay.
And there were statistics like you suggested that went against others, and anyway, many reasons to say, okay, thank you for your information and why you're not Catholic, but nevertheless, the Catholic God makes sense.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I do have more questions, but I'm gassed at this point just because I don't know if you were here for the beginning part, Luke, but we had like a whole
it's late, yeah.
issue with
3 hours. Oh yeah, it's been 3 hours.
Yeah, we had an issue with our streaming at the beginning, and it kind of frazzled me a little bit. So I'm tanked.
Me too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, feel free to come back next week. We'd
yeah.
love to have you on. We'll be on next Sunday at 2000 Eastern Standard Time or 8 p.m. for people that want to use that goofy 12-hour clock. But yeah, we'd love to have you. I think I'm going to be running solo on that one. I think Quaid's going to be out, so would love to have you on, Luke.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'll try to be there. Sunday is the day where I go to church, so.
Is that night? You'd be good.
It's at night. I go to church at night. I know. I just came back.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Some churches have the mass start at 7 p.m. So yeah, that's where I go to church. And this week there is church on Wednesday and there's church on Sunday. Wednesday is on a few days where you have to go to church in the year. It's a Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, my grandmother's Catholic and she goes to church quite a bit, so I'm familiar with how often you can go for any reason, really.
Yeah, you have to go once or twice a year. Anyway, Ash Wednesday is one of those days where you have to. Like, if you don't go, you are doing a sin as grave as not going to church on Sunday. It's something that you have to do.
Alrighty, Luke.
Well,
thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Hey, have a good one. Bye.
Have a good night.
Where's the end?
All right.
Wait, okay. Well, that was certainly an evening.
Yep. Sorry about that. I take responsibility for this one because I'm the one that tried to set it up. So
You know, it's not your fault. You know, things happen. You can never predict all of the problems. You can only do the best that you can do. We did a great job. It was successful, because we are. We did some SE. I'm calling that success. So great job.
All right. Yeah, I'll be more vigilant next time. Test streams. We got to do test streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching and joining in with us. As you've heard me say a billion times now, we'll be here next week. So thanks again.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.